Welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an All Purpose Life, wherever you are and however you listen to They Call Me Mr. U in the Inspiration Station. We thank you again for making us a part of your week. Thank you again for joining us wherever you're listening to us on our audio listening platform like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, or if you're on our YouTube channel at They Call Me Mr. U, or you're watching us on social media somewhere. Thanks again for listening. Please drop any questions or comments you have in the comment section where you find this show. We can't wait to hear back from you again. But thanks again for all your support. Now, my wife, in my opinion, is an undercover horticulturist. After many years of gardening, which is something I'm not used to, a very small part of my background, 10%, not big at all. But in the course of our learning gardening together, I learned a new word and a very interesting concept at the same time. The word is rootbound. Interesting. What does that mean? I want to bore you guys. I want to try to get to our point as quick as possible. So if you're not a gardener or you don't do flowers and plants, hang with me. It's going to make sense in a little bit. But rootbound, by definition, is when a plant's roots have grown so tightly packed together that it can't grow. That growth is stunted. They can either be tangled together, they can be tightly packed together, they can clog opportunities for drainage. You know, water is important to a plant. They can grow in abnormal ways, they can grow in circles and different patterns and away from the places where they need the nutrients to help it grow. Excuse me. So in short, the roots run out of space. So one, they can't mature anymore. They run out of space because they can't mature anymore. Two, their root system is too shallow. It's not deep enough for them to get what they need. And in order to get to the seed that they need to, or the soil that they need to get to, they eventually starve because they can't get deep enough. Or they could be oversaturated and have too much water and not enough movement, and the roots can begin to rot. Now, if you have these situations going on and you are a planter, this might help you out. You may already know it. Totally fine. When we get into a larger point before this is over. Excuse me. But if you have a root-bound situation, agriculturally speaking, you soak off the roots to get all the soil deposits that have been clogged. Excuse me. And then you give them a thorough washing. And then you place the plant in a larger pot, which in this case means you're giving it more space for the roots to grow. Now, we're not talking about plants today. We're not talking about gardening. There's a point here. I want to make sure you can catch it. Hopefully I express it well enough that you can do that. But that's what happens with plants when they're root bound. What happens with you when you're root bound? See, God speaks in the vernacular of agriculture. I don't care where you look in the scriptures. You always see agricultural terms everywhere. I mean, from beginning to end, from front to back, you'll see that. In John 15:1, Jesus says, I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener. Galatians 6:7 says, whenever a man sows, so shall he reap. You hear these kind of terms, these kind of passages, and in terms like about harvest and the vineyard, sowing and reaping, fallow ground. God speaks through agriculture. And I really believe this, that he sees us as the planting of the Lord. Look at Psalm, the first chapter, verse 1. You'll see it. He considers us his plantings. So think about that in terms of being root bound, and we'll go a little further into this as we move into the episode. But understand that he's not talking to farmers. He's talking to his children to whom he's given dominion. This book that we call the Bible is not written for farmers. They have farmers' almanacs and things like that for the farmers specifically. Even though all these terms are being used that are agricultural in nature, this is not for the farmer. This is for his children who he expects to follow his example, to follow his pattern, to walk in dominion and in authority in the earth. He wants you to tend to your opportunities the same way that Adam did in the Garden of Eden. He wants you to break up fallow ground. He wants you to sow righteousness so you receive love and righteousness in return. He wants you to sow good so that you receive good. like in Hosea 10 and 12. He wants you to function as a farmer. So if this is over your head and you feel like, you know what, I don't have a green thumb in me, you can accomplish this in his strength with his guidance. This is not about every plant you get and it dies. That's not your legacy. This is a different kind of planting, a different kind of sowing and reaping that we need to engage in, because it's the DNA of our spiritual bodies. It's the DNA of our purpose. He's not talking to farmers in this. He's talking to you as his children, whom he gave dominion. He cares about the fruit that you bear. Excuse me. You may not think about that kind of stuff, and you may walk around thinking, hey, I'm good. I looked in the mirror, I'm fine. But he cares about the fruit that you bear. Now you got to ask yourself, if you were given seed, if you were given opportunity, what did you do with what you were given? How did you use it? How far did you take it? Did you quit? Did you throw it away? Did you let it just die? Did you let the root starve? Or did you change something to ensure that you have a full harvest with what you've been given? I love the parable of the talents because it talks about this so much, and I talk about it on a lot of different podcast episodes, so forgive me if you heard it before. But in the parable of the talents, which is in Matthew, the 25th chapter, it talks about an example or a model of what happens when God gives his people seed, when he gives his people provision, what he wants you to do with it. You see the end result when you don't take what he's given you and put it to use. You see what happened. I mean, why else would he, in the Bible, would Jesus curse the fig tree? Because there were a lot of leaves on it, potential was there, but there was no fruit. After a time where fruit should have been available, it wasn't there. He has high expectations for us. Even if you don't have them for yourself, he has them for us. He's given us seeds. He expects to see fruit from them. So I'm asking you a tough question today as we move into this last part of this episode today, because I think this is really important. Again, he cares what your fruit looks like. He cares what you've done with what you've been given. Excuse me. There is a real problem in our world, mainly because we're not walking in our purpose and we're not doing what we were commissioned to do. We've been given opportunities and provisions and seeds, if you will, and we're not doing anything with them. We're casting them on the ground. We're throwing them in the trash. We're leaving them to rot. We're not taking full advantage of the opportunity that we have. In some ways, we're living root-bound lives. I want to ask you a tough question today. Take some time to think about it if you have to. But are you root-bound? Do you have loads of potential and leaves on the tree that everybody can see, but no fruit? Can you start strong, but you fail to get to the finish and produce? Are you root-bound? Are you experiencing overcrowding in your life because of a lack of focus on growth and a whole bunch of other ancillary things in your life that don't matter? Are you root-bound? Do you have your friends' stuff all over you and all around you? Is that the focus in your life? Pleasing your friends, doing what they want you to do, being around them, being in their company, and it's keeping you from growing. Are you root-bound? Do you feel like the things that you know you need the most in your life seem to always escape you? Are you root-bound? Have you asked the Lord for more capacity? It's a scary prayer. It's a scary request. I get that. We're in a place right now, and I can't go into the details today, where we have embarked on one of the greatest journeys of our life. We are seeing things flow and move into our life at a pace that we can't even, in our own minds, handle it. We're handling it by grace and faith because it's happening so quickly. And I laugh sometimes because I know that we as humans, we ask the Lord for things. We say, I want to have this, I want to have that, I want to have this. And then when it comes, we complain about the fact that it's too much to handle. We complain about how it's too much work. We complain about how it's taking too much of our time away from other things. What we receive isn't always how we envision it in our minds, but it's still the best for us. We just can't see it in the way that we originally pictured it. When you ask for capacity, it's a whole different conversation, a whole different context. Because capacity is just having more room to accomplish what it is that needs to be accomplished. I love in the Old Testament, in the book of Exodus and Deuteronomy, I think it was, where the Lord talks about, he gave instructions to the people of Israel to enlarge their tents. Excuse me. They didn't have anything there to place in these areas, but he said, enlarge your tents, strengthen your states, make bigger your territory because of what's about to happen, because of what you're about to see. And a lot of time, it doesn't always mean more friends, doesn't always mean more mentors, doesn't always mean a bigger ministry. It could simply mean that we, as the planning of the Lord, need to shift into a place of greater capacity. We need to ready ourselves and prepare ourselves for what we know, what we believe is getting ready to take place. We need to make room. We need to make room. You may do more, you may pray more, you may read more, you may plant more. As the planning of the Lord, your sole responsibility and my suggestion to you is to expand your expectations for more fruit. Not more stuff to do, not more friends, not more assignments, more fruit. You've already been given seed. Matter of fact, many of you have been given plenty of seed. And some of us haven't done anything with what we've been given. Check out Matthew 25 as a reference. Read the parable of the talents. See what we're talking about today. But we've all been given some kind of seed, provision, and opportunity to do something with it. What have you done with the seed you've been given? Expand your expectation for more fruit. Wherever you are and however you're listening to They Call Me Mr. U and the Inspiration Station. Thank you again for making us part of your week. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Shout us out in the comments section. Drop your questions and comments there wherever you find the show. Let us know what you think. I'll be happy to answer you as quick as I can. Have a great day. Enjoy the music. We're out.